Well, I'd like to welcome all of you back from the Michigan game. I know you were all watching, as was I, and I have to be honest. Uh, as all of you know, I've had some problems with my back, and I've had some nerve blocks and so on and so forth. And so it's called into question my ability to play for Michigan during the latter half of the season, which was always Coach Harbaugh's secret strategy. That when Michigan started playing the tougher teams like Penn State, whom they played today, that he would call me back in, and that with my rather, well, I don't want to sound immodest, uh, my rushing ability, my ability to carry the football, which is, well, frankly, I taught Blake Corum everything he knows, and he'll admit that in a moment of candor, if he ever has one. I don't know. I'm reluctant to trust little guys. I'm also reluctant to trust big guys. And I certainly don't trust any of you who are watching the show today, so don't even think about it. But, pardon my digression. That's going to be the theme song of this show is Pardon My Digression. Pardon my digression. Anyway, the way they played, you realize they didn't throw a single pass in the second half. Not one. They didn't need to. They just did a running game. And their running game was so incredible that they probably don't even need me. That hurt just for me to say that, make that admission. But they really probably don't need me. But I will be standing by in case I have to fly into Ann Arbor for the Ohio State game. I will make myself available regardless of the agony of my back or the ecstasy of the win. The agony and the ecstasy. Sounds like it could be a title for my next book. So, I'm here to talk about actually a serious subject, and that is what's going on in Israel. Now, you have to tiptoe all over the place because one remark in the wrong direction antagonizes people when you're accused of being anti-whatever. But one thing it just bothers me a lot is when people say, whenever anybody raises the question of the kids in Gaza who are being bombed, and a lot of people don't know this, but half the population in Gaza, which is 2 million people, is children. Now that includes people under the age of 18, so if you want to eliminate teenagers, you still have at least 30% are toddlers, or young kids who are not teenagers, and that includes toddlers. And they're being blown to bits. Now imagine if you were a Palestinian father, or any father, and a bomb strikes, and you look over and there's your 3-year-old dead and buried under a pile of rubble. Are you going to say, well, it's okay, the Israelis didn't intend to kill my kid, he was just in the way, so it's okay? And what you hear people say when this is raised, and I saw it several times on TV from people I otherwise respect, including Bill Maher and Michael Smerconic, and the comment was, well, yes, but you can't blame the Israelis. After all, it was Hamas that's holding a hostage, not just the hostages they took, but they're holding the Palestinian people, including all of these kids, hostage. And this particular thing came up. I watch Michael Smerconic all the time, and I recommend him. But he showed a cartoon, a political cartoon, that appeared in the Washington Post. And this political cartoon had an Arab-looking fellow who looked kind of like Yasser Arafat. And he had glued to his body, or attached to his body, a whole bunch of these tiny little babies, little Palestinian babies. And then he was saying, to the Israelis were saying, this is why the Israelis are killing these children. And, he was using these people as his shield. And the Washington Post took that cartoon out. They felt it was offensive, not because of the babies, but because they thought that the cartoon version of this Palestinian or this Hamas leader was racially offensive. And so the question of Bill Maher's question of the day was, should that cartoon have been removed? Okay, and I agree with everybody else. It shouldn't have been, but Smerconic's point was that, yeah, the cartoonist was making a valid point, which is, how dare people complain about Israel killing these children when Hamas is surrounding himself with Hamas, or surrounding themselves with these little Palestinian kids as shields, and that they're the real villains. So I was talking to myself, and because no one else will talk to me, that's why. So I can't believe it. Here you are, the new Speaker of the House, and you're already being rude to me. You're lucky I invited you to this program. I know it's not because you're young. I like young people. You just have to be a little more respectful of older people. That's all, and that includes me. Not real older people, just a little bit older. Little bit older people. I like the way that sounds. Little bit older people. Stop it. It's enough of this nonsense. So I'm talking to myself, and I says to myself, Ed, because that's my name. I said, Ed, isn't this a little bit like bank robbers? And my other personality answered, I don't know, what the hell are you talking about? And then the first of me said, well, you know, and every time you see that, like, somebody robs a bank, and my other me said, yeah, I know, that's a bank robbery, you just said it. And the first me said, no. I'm going for someone with this. You don't have to keep interrupting me, my other self. I says that the banker robbers break into the bank, and there's a bunch of people in there, they're customers, and they shoot a couple of them, and then they take the rest hostage, and they hide behind these customers, or in the case of the cartoonists, they staple, they attach them to their body as shields. And they tell the cops, hey, dirty copper, don't come busting in here with me. I've got these people around me, and if you come busting in here, you'll kill them. So the police, who are from the Israeli army, say, well, you know what? That's your fault, bank robber. The important thing for us is to kill you, bank robber, and so we don't care whom you're using as a hostage. We're going to get you. And they then proceed to barge into the bank, shoot the place up, kill all the hostages, if they're successful in killing the head of the bank robbers. And so they come out and make an announcement to all of the people standing outside watching this, and they say, good news, we killed the leader of the bank robbers. And somebody raises his hand and he says, but didn't you also kill the hostages? And the answer is, that wasn't our fault. Bank robbers were the ones who took the hostages. Now, those of you who aren't that smart, and that's all of you, are saying to yourselves, what? And why are you saying that? Why do you talk like that? Why do I get people like you watching my show? What in the world does it mean to say, what? I don't know. It's the kind of people I attract, I guess. So, in response to your question, the answer is, I'm analogizing that to what the Israelis are saying when they go into an area which has a bunch of kids that are being taken as, basically, the Palestinian kids are the hostages. In addition to the other 300 hostages, there's thousands of these Palestinians that they're using as hostages. And the Israelis are the cops. And and Hamas are the bank robbers. So the Israelis say, hey, sure, we're dropping bombs and killing all the kids. We're not doing it because we like killing the hostages. We don't say they're at fault. These Palestinian children, they're not at fault. They're hostages held by Hamas. But the good news is, by killing all of those Palestinian children, we were able to get a leader of Hamas. So forget the kids. We didn't go there in there to kill the kids. We didn't care whether we killed them or not. That was just a price that somebody else has to pay in order for us to kill the leader of Hamas. Now, to me, from an ethical point of view, from a moral point of view, they're pretty much the same thing. That has nothing to do with the ultimate solution of the problem. But to sit there and say, oh, it's Hamas's fault, and take no responsibility for killing little children, and this is really sickening. This is not, sometimes I kid around. This is not kidding around. These are little children that are being killed by the Israeli Air Force and now the Army in a massive scale. And if the American people would go over there and see, this is why there's so much outrage against Israel in this thing, because of the children who are being killed by the Israeli armed forces. And regardless of who you think is on the right or the wrong, or who has the right to live or not to live or defend themselves, it doesn't change the fact that that's happening, and it's sickening. So I want you to think about that when you're sitting there with your own children or the kids across the street and aren't they cute, and think how you would feel if someone came in and started dropping bombs and killing those kids regardless of what their justification was. Think about how you would feel, and I want to leave you on that note.